I want to begin tonight with the tale of two men. One of these men is our comrade, and the other is our class enemy. One man had enough of the anti-immigrant climate overshadowing the country, took matters into his own hands, and attempted to bring down a symbol of this war on migrants. The other was also influenced by the climate overshadowing the country and also took matters into his own hands. The second man attacked a public gathering in California this week and killed 3 people, all of them young, one only 6 years old, and all of them people of color. The man who was fed up with the war on migrants was Willem Van Spronsen, who in Tacoma, Washington, attempted to set an ICE detention center on fire. He was shot down and killed for his efforts. This man, Van Spronsen, is described as an anarchist and anti-fascist, but he is also a hero. Online, he went by the name Emma Durruti after 2 of his inspirations, Emma Goldman and Buenaventura Durruti. While some have said the name Emma Durruti might have indicated Van Spronsen was trans, his friends clarified that he did not identify as trans, but used Emma as a pen name. In interviews, however, they made it clear that he and they are very much in solidarity with the trans community. I won't talk much about the second man. Other than the morning he carried out his attack in Gilroy, he posted a white supremacist document to his Instagram account. Also, he was half Iranian, which shows the complexities in this society. Elements of the ruling class are itching to go to war with Iran. This should have oriented him to defending Iran against imperialism, but alas, he went the other way. Now, I raise these 2 men as a way to demonstrate the acute tensions that are at odds in society right now. They reflect a time bomb that is ticking away. It is not just the time bomb on climate change, where we have already passed the point of no return. I don't mean that we can't save humanity and repair some of the damage to the planet, but it does mean that life on the planet has already been fundamentally and irreversibly altered. But I am speaking instead of the time bomb of social and political tensions that exist as a result of capitalism on its last breath. The actions of these 2 men, in a small way, are examples of 2 roads that can be taken. One road has the right-wing ideology that was strengthened with the election of a white supremacist in the White House, which can become bolder and deeper. The other road has an overwhelming number of the masses finally showing they have had enough and rising up in resistance in ways yet to be seen. There have in this period been many great demonstrations and many examples of resistance, but when will it become generalized, political, and massive? When or can the talk of a general strike that is coming from many sources actually happen? Which road will be taken depends so much on the work of the left in this country. Because things are changing. Society has changed. There is a new rising consciousness that is wonderful to see. Perhaps younger people may not see it the way elders do, because we have lived not only through the 60s, but through COINTELPRO, the fall of the Soviet Union, Reaganism and reaction, and so much more. Society has changed. It is more conscious on racism and homophobia. So many know that the capitalist system is the source of all our problems. Just look at the response to Trump's voracious, vile war on migrants. We should be so encouraged and proud of our class, of the efforts that so many have taken to defend migrants and oppose the horror that is going on at the border. From different sectors of society, many have risen to the occasion that to me demonstrate that in the very fabric of this society is the desire to do the right thing. It may not be based on developed class consciousness, but that is for us to develop and work on. Just look at the human chain that spontaneously occurred in Hatfield, Tennessee a few days ago. White, black, and brown neighbors surrounded the van of a migrant worker and his son when ICE arrived. It was this multinational gathering, a neighbor-to-neighbor solidarity, that stood up against ICE and actually pushed them back. It was a tremendous act of solidarity. And this is not in New York or San Francisco, where the pro-migrant right is a lot richer and more organized. This is in the Deep South, where in Alabama, just this year, a law was enacted that will require, as a condition of parole, that some convicted child sex offenders may have to undergo chemical castration. This is racism at its worst. We don't want to defend child abusers, but we do not want the state to carry out these kinds of atrocities. This is a message to the black masses that white supremacists are longing to return to the days of slavery. There should be massive protests on this as well, but unfortunately conditions are not there yet. So this act of multinational solidarity in Tennessee should be seen in that context about how racist and white supremacist the South is, the ruling class is attempting to take the South back to. And the people of Tennessee, I mean, it was so cool to watch it on TV. These white workers says, "You ain't taking my neighbor," you know, like the Southern drawl. And I was like, oh, you know. And all the acts of the Jewish protesters, so many of them around the country that are saying that these are concentration camps. They're not, and all the material aid that so many organizations that we don't even hear about that are continuing to organize and send material aid. There's a formation of the new group in South Texas that I hope I can join right away, called Angry Abuelas and Angry Tias, angry grandmothers and aunts, who are organizing and doing everything to welcome the migrants and organize in their community. The tons of Know Your Rights events that have taken place, not just city by city, but block by block across the country. These are all signs that Trumpism is being taken on. At the same time, we know that there are those on the ground, like the shooter in California, and those in power, as well as the Steve Bannons and the Trumps, who are also part of the fabric of this society, that will do anything to uphold the capitalist system. And they've got to be pushed back, and they've got to be defeated, whether they're on Wall Street or in the White House. But no matter what fascist, racist, misogynist Trump says, the majority of people in this country do not agree with his bullshit war on migrants. And this is a reason for optimism, but it shows opportunity for us. I was at the PPA meeting last night, and there was some talk about some of the activists facing burnout and fatigue. And Comrade Rafael said that if people need time to chill, that there should be no shaming of activists for that. And that is so right on. Especially good for some of us elders that just are really struggling with a lot of health issues. So it's good not to be made shamed of if you can't go to this or that demo, even though we feel so guilty. But it's understandable that the depth of despair, the wealth of problems can tire you out no matter how revolutionary you are. How can you not be tired and just want to go home and sleep or watch TV when Pantaleo continues to be free? How can you not be tired when the murder of Eric Garner goes unpunished? When the words, "I can't breathe," run over and over in your head late at night, and Pantaleo continues to walk the streets like some kind of goddamn hero. There isn't an activist in this city, I don't think, whether they're able to come to a protest or not, that doesn't burn with righteous anger over the loss of Eric Garner. But we need to be encouraged, comrades and friends, and I want to go into some other examples. In fact, I think that you should rest as much as you can right now, because things are going to jump off, and we've got to be ready to do a lot more work. And this is why. If on national TV, if at the Democratic Party debate that took place last night, Somehow, some wonderful activist managed to jump up and cry out, "Fire Pantaleo" on CNN in front of fucking de Blasio, then wow, things are sure as hell starting to look like the 60s to me. Whoever did that, I don't care if they are in DSA or the Democratic Party or some nonprofit, I don't care. Whatever, whoever you are, thank you. Thank you for bringing the case of Eric Garner to the floor of the Democratic Party for millions to see. Later on, Julian Castro, one of the candidates, I was proud of my fellow San Antonian for at least 3 seconds because he's a big gentrifier. But he asked de Blasio straight out, why is Pantaleo still free? And called for him to be jailed right there on the stage. I'm sure he was emboldened by the damn protests, you know? If we are on our toes, comrades, we would urge the movement to have a demonstration tomorrow at City Hall to push this momentum even further. Because a door, not a window, a door has been opened, and somebody is going to push through that door and burst this case wide open. It would be great if it was us, but it doesn't matter who does it. If Pantaleo goes to jail, there will be dancing in the streets. So here we are, comrades. We have activists like Von Spronson so frustrated and fed up, they are willing to commit suicide to bring down a detention center. We have white supremacist domestic terror on the rise like never before. And it's not the left saying that, that's the FBI itself saying that there are more active domestic terrorists like never before. We have Democratic Party candidates talking about socialism on national TV and raising progressive issues that some have never been raised before by mainstream politicians. Issues like canceling the student debt, taking more money from Wall Street, and for heaven's sake, last night they were talking about reparations in a way I've never heard before. A white woman candidate, Gildebrand, I was shocked when she talked about white privilege and the privilege of being a mother, that she does not have to worry if her son gets stopped by a cop because she knows that his white privilege means that he won't be shot down dead. Now, these are all signs. I don't want it to be misunderstood. We do not think the Democrats have the solutions at all. I'm only pointing these things out to show that the reason why these officials are talking like this is because of what's going on on the ground. And this song, the liberal thing, reminded me that liberals always go where the wind is blowing. That's why they're talking about how they're talking. That's why this rich Asian man, Van, one of the candidates that was talking, he said, they were talking about climate change. He said, well, not only do we have to talk about fossil fuels, we have to start talking about moving people inland. Who's going to do that? And I'm like, fuck, right. You know, the fact that these people are saying these things shows that science, material conditions, the facts can no longer be hidden the way the ruling class has hidden the facts for so long. They cannot hide the information about climate change. They cannot deny that Eric Garner should not have been killed the way he was. They cannot deny that caging children in the way they are is a way that should be handled, the immigration policy should be handled. They can't deny the facts anymore. And that is why these politicians are talking the way they're talking. There was a black woman who wrote an article today in the Times, an opinion piece. She's actually a professor at the very university where Sandra Bland was hired to work before she was killed by the cops. And she said about Gildebrand that she was so glad that finally white people, when the politicians, when they're asked about racism, that the white people are not saying, oh yes, blacks have it so bad in the inner cities and education, and now they're talking about mass incarceration. This black woman was happy because a white person was talking about white privilege and what she could do to fight racism. I'm not saying that she's a revolutionary. It's not. I don't want anybody to walk away with that idea. I'm just trying to point out about they're forced to talk like this because of the revolutionary conscience that is on the ground. So we have an opportunity. The genuine left, the revolutionary movement, has to take advantage of these openings. We really have to be much more aggressive and get to the point where we're not having 30 or 40 people like we're having in this room tonight, but that we are doubling and tripling our numbers, because now is the time when we could do it. We don't want a third road to emerge, a road of apathy or extreme joy if Trump is defeated. If a Democrat wins, we don't want the third joy to be, oh great, the war is over, white supremacy has gone away, and now we can all go back to life as usual. That could be the third option if Trump is defeated and some, some popular Democrat, not Biden. In a way, I hope they choose Biden, because if they choose Biden, people are going to be pissed off as hell, right? So, but if some populist Democrat does get elected, whether it's O'Rourke or Sanders, then many people are going to be like, okay, it's over, we won. That could be the third option. And it would be our fault if everybody goes back to business as usual, if we don't continue to fight, to push on these issues. We want to make sure in our firework, the fire coalition or the fire entity of the immigrant rights movement very much wants to make sure that at every turn that we are linking the struggle to abolish ICE with the struggle to abolish the police. After all, ICE is in the word police, so it's a natural connection, right? But given the conditions that are looming in the horizon, the left can grow. We can grow, and we've got to grow. We have to grow. We have to get to the point where we don't fit in this room. And I know we can. I really know we can. And I just want to urge on that to come Friday. For a long time, we couldn't, come Saturday rather, for a long time we couldn't repeat the slogan that was raised in 2006, 7, and 8, Si se puede, because no se pudo, But now we can raise Si se puede again, because the opportunities are there. And down below, there's this revolutionary class-conscious information that needs a lot of teaching, it needs a lot of orientation, needs to explain why Venezuela and Maduro is not our enemy, needs to explain why we can't go to war with Iran, needs to explain, what you have to do to really get Medicare, and you can't just count on Sanders or any of them for Medicare for all. You have to mobilize for your own class interest. That's what it takes. And we can do it, and we have to do it, because humanity is at stake, as we all know. Thank you.